Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. No, that was gross. Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. It's September 11th. I'm Ryan Miller. That sounds especially bad because that went over It's September 11th. You just cackling away. And now with ray tracing, it's Matt Amberg.
I wish my name was Ray Tracing. It sounds like a great private dick. You know, he's like, hey, I'm P.I. Ray Tracing.
Is that why the specs have been so vague? Because they're literally referring to some guy named Ray Tracing?
He's like, I just call it Ray Tracing because that's my name, and I'm just drawing like light rays like it's a hand. I don't know what your
Three
problem is.
times as fast. As what? As the other Ray.
Yeah, you don't even know
I'm
another.
faster.
Like, this is like, I don't. Ugh. This is a bit that we don't plan. We don't plan bits out.
Yeah. How are you distinguishing between bits that we plan out in advance and bits that we don't, aka everything?
that's how I schedule it. Or that's how I split.
Oh. Hey, how are you doing? Have recovered from PAX yet? Fresh on the heels, it seems.
It's been, I played more games this weekend than I ever did at PAX. It seems like, which is weird. Because,
well, considering we only played some Jackbox at PAX.
That's true. I mean, just at all of PAX's ever combined.
Oh, and just, whatever games were at the show.
Yeah, I can't remember. But no, PAX happened, man. We were there, and it was, you can watch it. There were live video streams of us on the video streams.
Check it out. And then they've been repurposed for YouTube, in fact.
Yeah.
A little less live. Some of the food arriving has been cut out.
Ugh.
And other interruptions.
It's like so dumb. Like, editing things is just a waste. You're like, you guys are all gonna miss my incredible like dive roll over the bed to get the food. And
hey, the Twitch archive, I'm sure, will deliver.
Hopefully,
like if they want the raw Zero Hit Points, you go to Twitch.
Yeah, raw dogged. Oh, yeah, PAX.
But I actually thought the stuff. I mean, not that I'm ever gonna toot my own horn, but
toot it.
In years past, compared to years past, I think this was the best year yet, actually.
Compared to the year I wasn't there, this is definitely a decrease in improvement. So what is that? What is the reverse improvement? It's a bad thing. I don't know what it is.
What is a reverse improvement?
Yeah.
New tagline for the website. You give one to me
Look,
every week.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm real tired right now.
So you're not recovered then?
I'm not. I don't know. Like I basically went 2.5 weeks plus without seeing Beth. And then when I got home, we had a whole bunch of stuff planned out. And then a lot of that stuff, like, we did things, but it all kind of got jumbled in weird ways. And nothing at all played out the way as expected. And so I'm still like, now I'm kind of coming back down, realizing, oh, wait, it's Tuesday, September 11th, not Monday, September 10th.
You're only half right, even. Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like you had because when you vacation, not that PAX is a rest or vacation in that sense of the word, you want to give yourself, this is a good rule of thumb, an extra day when you come back home. You don't go to work the next day after returning from vacation.
Correct.
You give yourself a day.
And I did not do that.
It sounds like you didn't do that by like a week's length.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and drag this out to like. Beth leaves town next week, so I'm gonna try and drag this out.
Keep it going.
Get it. If I can manage a day off, like just the day she leaves or something, then we'll be good.
So okay, let me ask you this then.
Ask it. Use your questions.
Couple times.
Use your curiosity to find out an answer from me.
ZeroHitPoints.com. While we were there, you mentioned maybe having some closing thoughts about PAX, some wrap ups, some finalizations of sorts.
Sure,
I don't know.
Sure.
I think I got out all my stuff on day 2. We kind of did what we usually do at the end, in the middle somewhat. Just talking about PAX, the evolution of PAX, what it means to us, and how it's changed. So if you want that, go back to day 2. But I'm curious what you have to add.
On retrospect, thinking back about it, I still feel like they are walking an incredibly tight rope right now. And even with the PAX survey, one of the questions on there was, do you think there was entirely too much floor space given to streamers, streaming, stuff like that?
Is this the post survey?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's weird actually, because I screen capped. There was a pre-survey too, and I screen capped it because the question they asked was, sorry to interrupt you, just quick aside.
No, always interrupt me. I've got nothing of interest.
This will give more weight to what you say. That's the good thing. That's all I do.
Gaining weight is what I do.
The question they asked, it says, what are you looking forward to most at PAX? And then the options they gave were esports, tabletop gaming, indie gaming, educational content, VR, AR exhibitors, music, streamers, amateur tournaments, retailers/shopping, and cosplay. Ugh. Yeah. Plenty of great disciplines in there, but
I feel like you're missing the giant sign that says just video games.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
I struggled with 2, let alone they want you to select 3 out of that. So I went with indie gaming and educational content.
Sure.
And then I shut the survey because I didn't have a third. So
yeah. Well, and always just give up on those things. Don't.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Your survey, though, tell me.
Yeah, I haven't even taken it yet. I saw the thing, but on the survey, they definitely had a note in there about was there too much space given to streamers, to stuff like that. And the mass majority of responses on the PA forum, along with what I see on Reddit, along with what I saw on Twitter, was definitely that was...
Yeah.
It wasn't just us thinking, this is a little obnoxious. It's a little obnoxious.
A little bit.
The other thing that I kind of came to grips with here, and this has been years going on, but it's the fact that whoever is doing the layout for PAX is not doing so, I think, in the most efficient way, because it feels like they're putting a ton of stuff in places where they just don't have space, and then they've got space where they don't have anything. And they're like, I don't know what you were expecting to put there. Did somebody cancel? Why do you have all this extra space? And yet the Microsoft booth, which has a ton of floor space here, you've relegated this one part here, and it's like, it's weird. And then on top of that, I start to question who in the booth, like who's doing their own personal layout.
Well, that obviously varies from company to
company.
Yeah.
And all of those people should probably be ashamed of themselves. But more than anything, I feel like PAX, like that the floor space to me is more telling than anything. Like we are seeing, and I mean, even that those pre-questions, are you interested in shopping? Are you interested? Like, no. I mean, I get you go there and absolutely you do look for vendors to buy weird PAX related things from them.
Yeah, we walk through the stores every now and then to look at the things that are cool and cheaper elsewhere.
But man, when you're giving up, like, and this PAX isn't really any different, I don't think there were any extra vendors, but my point being that, like, that should not, in my opinion, be a thing that you're excited for, is to go shopping at PAX. Like, the two things that I immediately kind of note that weren't on that were like video games and friends. Like, I don't know. Why does it? I don't know.
Grassroots community, fan event, fan interactions.
Yeah. And
I mean, and it goes back to what we said. I don't remember if we said this on Tuesday, but we said it years ago, where one of the things that is kind of changed about PAX is they've traded in free t-shirts, and we bring up, when we talk about free t-shirts, it's not like I want my free shirt or something like that.
It's definitely
there's an aspect, but it's a way of engaging fans of especially giving to the over dedicated. There's been a trading of that for shopping, these booths that come up, and not at prices. I mean, it's like when you go to a show. I like buying stuff at a show because 100% of that is going to the people who deserve it, right?
Right. Like, when you go to a concert, that's
it's not even that here.
Well, and I think the worst part is that, like, half of the things I feel like I see there, like Corsair's booth, maybe I'm wrong, maybe, but I feel like at one point we actually Googled it and we were like, okay, I can buy all the same stuff here, except I can do it from a different vendor and I get it cheaper. The only thing
there's not even any deals there.
The only thing you get from them is, you also will get a little card for 15% off something else with this PAX pass.
Maybe.
Yeah, and it's always PAX West Corsair. Like, it's not hard to figure out. So
yeah, good point.
So no, I think that I maintain that I think PAX is walking a really, really thin line, and they're walking a real tightrope here. And I know for me, I have my own kind of goals and requirements that I need to meet to decide if I want to go back next year. But they certainly are not making it easy. They're certainly not making it difficult for that decision to lean into the no area, because it was, as much as I like seeing people, and I saw a lot of people, spent time with people. It was great to see them. We thanked them all in the last live show. Like, I don't know, man, the amount of money that we have to spend to go there, to essentially at this point no longer being courted to buy a video game. You're being courted to buy not the game, but every piece of Funko Pop, stuffed animal, pennant waving thing you can find there. I don't know, man. Like, sure, yeah. I just don't know. I can't. It's hard for me to to want to go to, because it's no longer becoming about fans. It's becoming a trade show in almost the worst way for me. Well, it's the worst way because it's of what it was. Because of what it was, right? Yeah. The lesson here is don't ever make something that people like, because then you'll have to change it to make more money because you're greedy. PAX is living long enough to see itself become the enemy. Yeah, stupid as it goes. Stupid PAX, you're Bruce Wayne. And honestly, I can't go all the way there with you on that. Like, PAX is going to have to go a lot worse for me to not go some year. So we'll make it happen. Don't you worry. But just to highlight some of the positive, like, I think this was probably the best year as far as, I mean, to put it poorly, connections and networking goes, which just means seeing friends. Like the stuff we got to do with Spawn on Me, and the guys there, and I saw good friend Kelly for a while. Although Adam wasn't there, so hey, yeah. I guess it's 33% as cool as it could have been. Is that the exchange rate for Adam? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's 33% to any interaction. Hey! Get your Adams today. You can buy them for a couple of loonies. So yeah, PAX is PAX. PAX, we're done. We're moving on. We'll do it again maybe. I'll do it again next year. Stay tuned to see if Matt will. Hopefully, cross fingers. Why don't we talk about video games? Let's keep it going, actually, because I feel like this show has the potential to just go and go. But let's do it. You know what game I didn't play at PAX? We talked about not playing it too. Specifically with Spider-Man, and I'm gonna go ahead and just get into this here. Do it. It's a really good game. It's a very good game. In fact, I'm now at like 40% complete with the game, because I got it Friday in the afternoon, and I played a whole bunch Friday night, a whole bunch into Saturday, Sunday. That is Sunday. A freaking record. And I fully admit it, man. Being Batman is fun. Being Spider-Man is a different kind of fun, and it's more fun because, I admit it, dude. The web swinging is just out of this world. Like, it is ridiculous amounts of fun. Yeah, there's fast travel. Why would I do that? No, I'm not using it. Don't give me that. It's a dumb option in this game. There's fast travel. It's called web slinging. You're traveling quite fast. Yeah, and you actually can build up momentum, and there's ways to do it where you can get going at a clip, man. You could get freaking going. And it's amazing. And like, even the times when you kind of screw up the web slinging and you're like, oh crap, I hit a wall. The game is just, yeah, guess what? Now you're running on the wall. Go, go, go. You don't have time to stop. You're like, no, but I wanted to stop here. You don't have time to stop. It is absolutely, they figured that out. Like, that is nailed. It's nailed during the fighting too, like when you're swinging around and stuff, and you actually, because the game tells you, don't stay on the ground. Spider-Man doesn't in real life, quote unquote. Why would he? Why would he? So don't do that, because you don't. So the game tells you, you want to get air combos. You want to knock people into the air. You want to be swinging around so you're not caught in spots. And you've got like the spider sense is akin to the whole Batman thing, and it's similar. Sure. But one of the things they don't have, and you played the Batman games like significantly more than I did, so you can remind me about this. Okay. When you were in the middle of a fight, if you were in the middle of like bashing people and the thing came off, you hit that button at the right time. It interrupted your animation so that it could counter, like, every time, right?
Interrupted might be rough. I mean, one of the amazing things about that system, the Arkham system, is that it was so fluid. So yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
Like,
it didn't interrupt it like animation wise, like it didn't herky jerky like then you're doing that. There was always a smooth transition. If you had, I mean, you couldn't queue up moves. So yeah, I guess in a way it interrupted it because that would be the next thing you did. Yeah, I mean, when you see the counter warning, you want to hit that as soon as possible. So that becomes your priority. So yeah, I guess I don't know.
So I'm not sure if so I maybe I'm not getting it in the right timing, but I don't think like that's a difference that I think you're gonna have to get used to, is that if you're in an animation hitting somebody and you hit that button when your spider sense goes off, you don't get the interrupt. You just get hit. So you have to time when you're doing it. Like you have to think about when you're actually hitting it, as opposed to you can't just mindlessly look at it and then press the button and it's going to work. So you have to consider like where people are in relation to what moves you're doing before you do them, because if you're going to dodge something like a melee hit, you have to time it. You have to like. And
I understand what you're saying now. So essentially, you can press it too soon, and then it won't. Work.
Yes, definitely. Okay. You could definitely press it too soon, and it does not work. But I don't.
That was never an option in the Arkham games.
But I don't.
You hit it and then you got it.
But I also don't think that it. Like again, I don't think it actually does the interrupt. I think you have to either wait for the animation to finish and then catch it, or you either don't start that animation, like do something else, do a different fight. Which I mean, it makes sense. You are supposed to think a little bit more about this, but
no, that's cool.
It works like in the way it's going. It's great. The game's unlocks and stuff cruise pretty quickly. It doesn't look like which I think is on some level kind of a bummer, but on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about how fast some of this stuff is going. It has that like the game has that Ubisoft thing going for it too, and I think Insomniac did this with the other infamous games where I think there were towers. It's the same thing here. You go and you unlock a tower. It opens up the map. I mean, you can always go there, but this actually opens it up and it shows you where like your secrets are hidden and stuff. So
we'll stick with Ubisoft. I think Infamous was Sucker Punch.
Yes. Good.
They did the one they did before this was the
You're right.
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive, right.
Maybe you were going for?
Anyways, yes. It's still cool, like, because again, you're swinging up to these towers and you're doing like a little. It's funny. So you go to the tower, you land on the tower, and then you do a Batman thing where you're doing like the radio waves. So you find the radio waves. Okay, tower's unlocked. There are like the game. The unfortunate thing is, and this is kind of reductive, I guess in a lot of ways, is comparing it to Batman in any way. It is not, and it's not even trying to be. It's a very different game, but in terms of something that's analogous for people to understand, there are dotted lines. The combat is a dotted line. You have quite a bit of that flow that you can build up. I don't know what the complexity levels would be in comparison to each other. You can do a lot of stuff in this game though, where you really, really feel like Spider-Man. Like you are bouncing around a room and you're hitting walls and you're doing combos off of the walls. You're knocking people into the air, and before you hit the ground, you're webbing somebody's gun. So you're pulling it out of their hands and then you're swinging it and knocking them in the head. As you hit the ground, then you're webbing things and you're swinging those around to hit somebody else. You dodge under somebody, web their feet to the ground, beat the crap out of them, toss them into the air, swing them to the ground. Like constant. And it's incredible. It feels amazing.
It's totally not Batman either.
No,
like that's
Batman. When you did it, it was the sound and the feel. It felt heavy. You felt you felt like you were walloping people.
There were some environmental things, like he might do a kick off a wall or something.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, nothing like what you're talking about. And I think it's smart. Like the comparison is going to be made. Obviously, it has been made since the very beginning and since the first look at this thing. But yeah, it needs to evolve. And if it was just, not lifted wholesale, because they probably have an issue with that, but if it was just basically Batman combat, I think it would not be as strong. Obviously, things needs to evolve, needs to be something better, needs to involve that character more. Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense either the other way. So
no, exactly. And the nice thing is, like, it feels lighter. but it doesn't feel like there isn't weight behind it, if that makes sense. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
it's just really good. Like, all of the everything about it is really strong.
Sounds
in terms
like the
of
takeaway, yeah.
in terms of the movement and all that stuff. When it comes to getting like further stuff in, like the story's a little middling right now, but it's also kind of an Elseworlds, you know, it's Spider-Man Elseworlds, so whatever. It's okay. It's not killing me. Nothing's crazy weird about it. It's just not, it's not the most engrossing, engaging Spider-Man tale that there could possibly be.
I gotta say, I was never, all the previous stuff they showed of, what's his name? Negative Man or something like that?
Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative. It has not really ever engaged me. Yeah, it's been the least engaging thing so far, I would say.
And it is in the game as well, I think, so far. Right. Again, not awful. There's been some great setups, like when you first meet Mary Jane again, I shouldn't say first meet, when she comes back into the story, whatever. That's a really cool moment. There are some good moments. There's some good, like when you're playing against some of the guys, good banter. They totally have the Spider-Man banter. The Peter Parker voiceover is good. One of the things that it doesn't bother me, again, because I'm enjoying how it all works and flows together. But there are a number of like missions that will just kind of happen where you'll be swinging around the city, and then you'll hear a police report. So and so has been kidnapped. We've got an identification down here. There's only like 5 of those, and they just kind of repeat over and over again in different okay. But again, it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting into, and yet I'm still like willingly diving for it. Like, I'm stopping everything I'm doing to go do that because it's so much freaking fun to screw around with the different combos, to swing into things. And it is really, really cool to jump from like the top of a building, bullet yourself straight down into web kicking somebody like just across the freaking street. That's
awesome.
That's really cool. And yeah, man, I gotta say, it's good. It's a good game.
I'm gonna get it. I mean, we talked about this forever. I'm going to go to the store after this and see if the Spider-Man PS4 Pro bundle is hanging out anywhere per-chance. But other than that, I've had some other goals in mind that we'll talk about also here shortly.
Okay.
But before we go too much farther, here at Zero Hit Points, we never want to shut down any fans. We love you all. We're very appreciative of everything you do. We think you exist. But, Matt, can you shut down the fan in your room right now? So if during the Spider-Man talk there's been any noise at all, there you go.
Sorry.
Now you have an in-podcast reason for it as well.
Air conditioner at the hotel, fans here. It's only 90. Yeah. It's only 90 plus degrees. No, it's fine. I'll just sit in here and sweat like a pig.
Hey, you got to keep it for a good 30 minutes. So, I mean, it's only going to get better from here on out.
I'm sure it's awesome.
Anything else you want to talk about? Any other games?
Not anymore.
What, that ruined it? That was the thing that ruined
everything. I'm done with this show. Over it. I finished The Last of Us. Rolled credits on The Last of Us.
Speaking of, I have plans. Basically, I want Spider-Man. I am going to look for that bundle because whatever, it saves me some money anyways. If it's actually $400, it's $600 on Amazon right now. Well, supposedly MSRP is $400.
Yeah, those are retailers trying to get extra money.
Okay, all right, I thought so. But my other plans came to be to finish any of the other. I've got God of War I haven't finished, Last of Us I hadn't finished, so I did double down on Last of Us, and I did also finish Last of Us as well. I want to finish something before I pick up another thing.
Sure.
So I do have words on Last of Us, but do we have time? Do we do it?
I think we've got time here.
Okay, yeah. All right. So The Last of Us, the video game that you may have heard of, came out several years ago. Can't be spoiled, but might be spoiled. If you're like me and up until 2 months ago tried to not get this thing spoiled as much as possible, then don't listen to this part because I feel like we're going to go through it all.
Sure.
It lives up to the hype for me. 100%. You've already talked, I think, a little bit about the gameplay and how that's kind of not the best thing about it and how that's what you hear most often. It doesn't matter more often than not. And at the very beginning, I would say definitely, because it's such a strong game right out of the gate. Like, the environments, the way they're all stitched together, the music, which describe the music. You said it perfectly, and I couldn't possibly improve upon it.
The music sounds like it's made from the instruments that are left in the world. Like there isn't just a ton of, you don't hear a ton of synthesizers, a ton of like electronic stuff. It's a lot of acoustics, a lot of drums, a lot of banging on things, and it just kind of, it was very evocative to me of what that world kind of felt like, I guess.
It sounds like people musically banging together pots and pans at its lowest point, which is fantastic. Just everything
it works,
comes together so well and so simply too. Like the HUD is minimized, which people have been doing for ages, but this seems to nail in a way that I never wanted to see anything on the screen. Like they could have put no HUD at all and I would have been
right
fine with that. In fact, there were times, I will say, we'll get to the gameplay, where I wondered how much they resented having to put in the gameplay. Because while I will say I actually came to enjoy it because of its clunkiness, it's not smooth. It doesn't play like a Call of Duty. It doesn't even play like an Uncharted.
No,
which isn't great.
It's the Resident Evil of Uncharted, like the first one where everything was tank controls, man.
But with Resident Evil, I mean, I guess some of that was designed, especially, when they're working with camera angles and corridors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is way more purposeful. Like they purposefully made this thing play exactly like it does. And anybody saying like, I don't like the gameplay, I feel like they would just be like, yeah, you're not supposed to. Like, you're supposed to fight for stuff. You're supposed to fight for control, to put it bluntly. To put it perfectly, you might be fighting to control this thing, but that's what the characters are also doing. And I know it's maybe a fine line, because in the end, you're like, well, am I having fun playing this at all?
Sure.
So it's a brave choice. It could be. And who knows, we could talk about what ifs forever if that was intentional or whatever, but it completely landed with me to the point where about halfway through, the note I have is, oh, dang, I'm starting to like the combat, maybe like it in how it fits, but still, it's like the music again. I'm not going to listen to the soundtrack in the car ever, but it's amazing. It's perfect.
You don't want to put that on while you're driving through the desert, just looking at desolation, thinking, yep, here it comes.
Actually, I do want to put it on. Yeah. See what my wife says. Is this, did you record this? The kids do this earlier? No.
How are you feeling? Sad? Hopeless? Just curious.
So that's my follow-up on the gameplay. I feel like you've dug into that enough.
Sure.
Let's go full story. And we've gotten to the end, so
definitely
full
spoilers.
Full story. What do you think? How do you feel?
I think that it's a really solid story top to bottom in terms of what they're telling. I think there are some interesting decisions that were made narratively to move the story along when I don't know that it necessarily needed to be. Like, there are times when I feel like Joel and Ellie get to be friendlier and friendlier way faster than the intention is meant to be.
Oh, really?
Like it didn't feel like it it was tugging strongly enough. Like you could, for me, I felt like at the beginning they definitely are, like, they're a little at odds. Especially Joel is very reticent to be involved with her at all. And and she doesn't know them. She's going off of, basically being told trust them by one other person and hope they don't kill you. It felt like there were times when either sections could have been elongated and given us a little more with it, or, a lot of it's just inference. You're just supposed to infer, okay, now they've spent 6 months together. Clearly they're better friends. Yeah, obviously they'd be better friends, but there were just times where I felt like the story kind of there was a fast forward that needed to kind of slow down.
That's strange, because I would actually go in the opposite way. And I'm wondering now if this is because you played the first 75, you played till winter, which was I think 75%. We were deciding ish, maybe.
Yeah,
if you agreed with me at the end.
It's got to be pretty close to about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You played that pretty close, like I want to say within a week or two, right?
Yeah, I blasted through it.
Okay, so and then I probably did somewhat the opposite, even though I got to be fairly regular on it. But yeah, I almost feel like they took their time with that. I mean, there's the relationship is operating on two levels. One of them is in their kind of, I don't know what if you want to call it, work relationship. Like functionally, you know, people wise, they come together and they have to be together. They are at odds whenever Ellie, who is the one who pushes, I think, which understandably so, her being the young one, you know, she's the one with
she's a teenager.
The not the handicap of experience, you could say. Joel has lost a daughter, so he is reluctant for that reason. But she very much wants to connect with him quicker than he wants to connect with her, right? But I feel like that thing took long enough that you are left kind of wanting it, because you want them to come together. You're like, okay, get over it, you know, like come together. You need to be together because of the world you're in and all this stuff,
sure.
You know. But I feel like they took the right amount of time with that, and
well,
I don't know, that's strange.
And maybe it's, you know, maybe this actually is kind of informed by how how the two of us kind of view things and take things even with our own kids. Like there were enough times throughout the game where I'm like, man, if I'm in Joel's position, I get right now why I am just leaving her and go get your clicker bait. You know what? I'm done. I'm out. You've pushed it. You pushed it. Now I'm finished. Whereas you're like, okay, I get it. Calm down. I love you. Let's move forward.
That's true. Actually, you make a good point, because I'm very much the guy in the movies now that has to consciously be like they've made them be apart because this is how most normal people work and how relationships work. Whereas if I was in this relationship, I would immediately jettison all my baggage, you know, quote unquote, right. Experience, you know, to survive or be friends. It's yeah, okay.
And I think
good point.
But that's valid. It's valid, right? I mean that's. I think this is a game that you know we've heard about this game for so long that you know I don't know that I ever heard anybody talk about it that way. You know, I never heard anybody really bring it up in terms of here's how my parenting style, here's how I was raised, really informed my view on the game and why I have that perspective. But I think it's interesting because, you know, like I said, I think it didn't take long enough. And I think there are times that, especially for me, where it's like, yeah, like I need a little more of that detail, because in my head, that 6 months can easily be spent very, very quietly between the two of them.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of it, you know, the more than anything, in the parts where they're together, which is so much of the game anyways, they are inherent. They're just so believable as those characters interacting with each other.
And I think that's why we can have this conversation. Like other games, we can't even have the conversation of you know, what's being experienced well, because the execution necessarily isn't there. And I think this game executes not only technically, like, and for a remastered game from the PS3, this already has the best character animations of any game I've ever played.
Really good. Like there are times when you look at Ashley Johnson, I think that's her name, that plays Ellie, and it's just like, what the hell? Like, and I mean, same thing with Joel, like that facial hair and like the way he like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's in the eyes. It's in the literal animation, like those tiny muscles in the face. Like again, it's a technical thing maybe, but it's done just perfectly. And I mean, story, I don't even think we need to get into as much as we have, because none of that's completely new.
No, I mean, look. Here's the synopsis for this. Tells you exactly what the game, what the story is, which is, you know, mass plague takes over Earth.
It's a zombie. It's another zombie story, man.
Some people are immune. Find them, create a cure. That's the theory.
Ellie is immune. That's why she's the kind of the golden ticket, and that's why Joel undertakes this. I mean, Joel undertakes it for numerous reasons, probably more.
Joel undertakes this.
Tess told him to, than even the fate of humanity, you know.
No, and ultimately Joel undertakes it because at the end of this, it's his way of saving the daughter that he couldn't.
And that's how. And again, not a completely new thing. Like Ellie being immune, not like it drives the story. It's a competently, like the plot points are good, but it's not the thing that makes this. What makes this are the interactions, the execution, the little things, the characters, and gameplay-wise too. I love that we started this discussion with The Last of Us, with me maybe watching it on YouTube and deciding I couldn't because I needed to experience this as the game. And that could not have bared out better, because there are moments where you are walking and it is completely quiet, and Ellie will just say something like, huh, or or she'll be off wandering on her own or something. And if you don't go back and look at her and hit the prompt to engage with what she was ing about, then you don't get any of that.
You miss it. Yeah, so, you do. You miss a bunch of, you can miss a whole bunch of, I think, again, another reductive term here, because it's just so not the right term, but it is flavor dialogue.
Sure.
It's because it's so much more like, yes, it is probably by definition flavor dialogue, but it's like,
but it's not.
They are so incredibly well written, scripted, directed, acted moments, and
for any piece of media, not
period.
Just for games.
Yeah, like straight up. And the other thing that kills me, that I absolutely just slayed me about this game was amazing. Every single voice actor in this game, I can't think of one where I thought, well, you just didn't fit. You're the weak point.
Nope.
Like, they got good, solid people to act in this game, and holy crap! Like, so the for me, the MVP of this game, that not main characters here, happens to be the guy at the end, your last big hurdle that you have to face, the cannibals.
Oh,
that guy was amazing. Like, in every way, he sounded like you just know there's something off about him, and you can't quite put it. It's like, okay, what is it? Is it he's got to be a bad guy? He can't just be a good guy. Okay, but he wants to help. But
it's amazing because they spend the game creating this world that's just completely hostile. Joel, who is maybe the good guy or the protagonist at least, and Ellie have very openly made these decisions that make him not necessarily the good guy, and they meet up with this guy. This comes to be a cannibal who is nice right off the bat, is accepting, appears to be one of those guys you want to find in the world, that, not everything's gone to hell. There is still some humanity left out there. And the very least humane of all is the guy that's nice. Right. And that's what's off, like, it's perfect.
And the like craziest part about that whole situation too is that not only do you get that from him, but you also, like, that's a great character where they try to make a really good point, and I think it's a pretty salient point throughout the story, is that, and you just hit on it too, that Joel's not necessarily a good guy. Like, after the beginning of the game, like, you meet him and you can assume he's a good man, good father. That's all we can assume. We don't know anything other than he was attacked, his daughter died, he's got a brother, and he ran.
There was a big chunk of space after, because the game starts with Ground Zero with him losing his daughter, and then it's like 16 years later, I want to say, or something?
And I mean, he's become far more grizzled, he's far more angry, he's far more detached in every respect, and we don't know what he did between those times, right? Like, maybe it was bad. It was very not good, but like, it puts that into perspective, and you get that, okay, Joel figured out his way of surviving. And I'm not saying, go eat people is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't really know about it. I've never tried it. We'll figure it out.
No harsh stance on cannibalism here.
You know what? Look, if you're okay with it, they're okay with it. I'm, whatever. I don't know.
Consenting adults.
That's what I'm saying. Craigslist only got rid of the casual encounter section. But
cannibal encounters.
But cannibal encounters, yes.
Which is kind of what it always was, let's be honest.
Fine young cannibal searching for older cannibal.
Crazy.
But that character is so great because there is an earnestness about him about not wanting to kill Ellie. And Ellie, he doesn't want to hurt Ellie. He's okay with Ellie being with them, and he's like, yeah, you just got to learn to eat people. Like, come on, I can help you out here. And it is that they did a good job of making characters that should in every respect be a black and white situation, be very morally gray, because the world is very morally gray. Even Ellie goes through this. There's a whole portion of her, like, as you're meeting her, where she is still coming to grips with the fact that, yeah, she's freaking having to kill people. And
right.
it's not necessarily the thing that she wants to do, because she is clearly on the path to, I can help people.
And that's the game. That's the thing that we could never actually really communicate. Like, we've done it very simplistically here, but that is the game, is that relationship, that coming to terms, and how those two planets kind of, you know, revolve around each other in a way, Joel and Ellie. And it winds up with Joel getting Ellie to the Fireflies, who are, you know, some sort of a last bastion that can maybe take advantage of her immunity and work out a cure for humanity. But of course he gets them there, and whereas at various points during the story he's been ready to just, you know, get this job done, he's faced with the truth that they're going to cut her open and dissect her to get this cure, which Ellie herself, and Joel is called out on this, is okay with, understands, has made peace with. But Joel cannot. And he spends the last half of the game. And I think you had some issues with this last half. This is after the cannibals. You find the Fireflies and you make the decision to get Ellie. You go through, you find her on an operating table, and you have to kill at least one doctor, or I can't remember. Did I kill him? I'm pretty sure I killed him.
Oh, I killed all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, you killed all the doctors?
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
I missed out on something. I know I did. But I just was like, you know what? No, doctors. No, we're not playing this game anymore.
So I get to that room. Ellie's on the table, and I walk around. I do everything I can. I try every button I can to not kill that doctor who's got a scalpel on me. And he's like, you try anything and whatever. Even though, you know, the scalpel's not going to do anything. You know, Joel's got it covered if he needs to. But yeah, I tried everything, and I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta press a button against this doctor. So I melee him, and I'm, like I said, I'm pretty sure I slit his throat. But I left the other two alive and grabbed the girl and ran. And that's interesting that you left them all. That you got them. Okay,
I left them dead.
It makes me wonder, yeah, what else could be had there. But then the game pretty much ends in you having to escape Ellie, or having to escape the hospital while carrying Ellie and avoiding all the Fireflies. And you were texting me that you were having a problem with some spot, and I thought this maybe was the spot you were talking about, where you're carrying Ellie out of the hospital, or were you having a problem with the Fireflies before that?
No, it was there were a couple sections that just it definitely was just me being
enough said.
Me being mental and going, oh yeah, okay. I didn't think about trying this, and then the first time I tried the other thing, and okay, I got through it.
Okay.
So, but I do want to touch on this bit here at the end.
Touch it.
I am not in the same boat you are with the combat on this. I did not.
No, that's fine.
I did not like the combat very much at all. But I like the idea behind. Maybe you're not supposed to. Like, maybe it's a little clunky on purpose. I kind of like that idea. It gives me a good headcanon for this anyways.
Sure. Hey, if I can help with the Matt headcanon, I've done my bit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
I'm more curious how you feel like the game wrapped up in that final, like, carrying... I teared up at carrying Ellie out of that hospital. Like, that landed 100%. Like, nailed me real good. Okay,
fair. I definitely had a jaw drop moment while I was doing that. So did you happen to get caught at any point while you were carrying her, or did you make it the first time? I did not.
I was playing through on easy.
Okay, so so the way this works out is you pick her up, and then the game kind of guides you. There's no, like, you're not ever supposed to get caught. It's really easy to not get caught. They make it so that you can pretty much stand there for a minute. They'll walk right up to you before anything happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wants you to get out. You're supposed to get out. This is not a challenge.
Well, obviously, yeah.
But this isn't a challenge even. But the first time, I didn't know this. I didn't figure this out. I'm like, why is everything kind of in slow motion? Why is this a little weird? So I'm running forward, and then I go, okay, I don't know where to go. So I ran back because I thought I missed a door. And it turns out it was just around a corner. But I thought the game ended right then because it was all slow motion, and they just knock Ellie out of your hand, and the guy puts his gun right up to your head, blows Joel's head off.
Oh, dang.
And then it went blank. And I was like, oh, that's the best way to end this. You did not just do this. You did not just do this. And then, no, they did not just do that. No, that whole sequence was fine. I guess my issue, the very ending. Okay, so Joel, here's here's your
ending.
ending.
And I will agree with you that the game could have ended right there. There's a tiny, tiny epilogue on this thing that I know why they did it and is impactful, but I completely agree it could have ended there in the hospital any number of ways. But
so
sorry, yeah.
My biggest issue with this game is that both of them survive. When I think in the best case scenario, neither of them should have. Period. I
thought Joel was not going to.
I thought I knew the ending of the game. I clearly did not know the full ending of the game, because from the minute I started, I was like, okay, so I know Joel is going to die at the end of this. He has to. There's no way. So this epilogue, kind of, it's a frustrating epilogue. Basically, Joel's going through all the Firefly stuff. He finds out a bunch of things that were written in the journals, if you found them, and some of the recordings where maybe
recordings were good.
Maybe Ellie isn't the only one that has been immune, and they've tried this with other people, and nothing has ever worked. They've never been able to figure out how it works.
I did not pick that up.
So that's what I got out of it, was that Joel gives a little bit of BS, and the Fireflies gave some BS, because I
got that mostly from Joel's, I think it was in the car as they're driving away when Ellie finally wakes up from the sedative, and he's like, oh, they have tons of people that are immune, and they don't need you at all. They had some nefarious reasons, and Ellie's like, okay.
And I think that the what he's saying there is that yes, they do have other people, and he's saying, but that all of them died. Like the surgery they tried didn't work on anybody. And maybe
I guess same difference maybe at the end, except that makes that less of a flat out lie from Joel, which I think does affect the ending.
It does makes it less of a flat out lie from Joel. So more than anything, yeah, I guess I do feel like neither of them should have survived, but Joel definitely should not have. I don't know. It was the way that ended, like that the last line about Joel says right to her face, it's not a bold-faced lie, but he kind of fibs a little bit with her.
I think it is. Yeah, no, I think at that point it is. Like he's taking her back to his brother's compound, basically, where he found some respite along the way. You know, he kind of made up with his brother too. They were at odds, and Ellie's kind of quiet. It's again one of those moments where you can engage her along the way because something's not right. And finally, they get to the hill right before the town, and she's like, Joel, tell me the 100% complete truth. Or she basically makes him swear that everything he said about the Fireflies was true.
Right.
And that he wasn't just, selfishly kind of preserving his own humanity there. I mean, it's funny because this is an eternal, like, stories love to do this thing. You know, the one, like, Infinity War does it 4 times we talked about.
Yes.
Where, the Star Trek 2 or 3 is the good one, right? I can't remember. Where, will we sacrifice Spock for the greater, will we sacrifice one person for all of humanity?
Right.
And in this world, in The Last of Us, why the title The Last of Us is so amazing is that Joel does that, but kind of selfishly so, Like they never, in most movies, I feel like they make the argument that, yes, sacrificing for the one is the right decision and pays off in the end,
Right.
Here, it's not clear. That's not what is said. That's what's done, but it's The Last of Joel.
The title is very instructive of the game. It's very clearly a humanity-based thing, and it's about, figuring out where your humanity starts and where it ends.
Right.
That was a good game. Let's never talk about it again.
Still, okay. I feel like we may have reached the limit. I'll go quick. I did get back into God of War. I'm trying to finish that. Again, hopefully maybe I don't find the PS4 Pro bundle of Spider-Man, and then I won't buy it, because if I don't, I'll probably have to buy it by itself. Anyways, I'm trying to finish God of War. Doubling down on God of War. You won't hear much more about that until I am done with it, which will hopefully be next week. I said hopefully, but not realistically. I did do some more Gears of War 4. The only reason I want to mention it... I toyed with saying I did the game with the initials GOW and then seeing what happened, but again, I'm saving time here. Interesting thing about this is I've gotten into a crew of people. Well, the guy's name, gamer tag, is Overlord1010, and it's fun and interesting in the way this has popped up. Like, I'm having kind of cultural fun with this game. Again, sticking it to the game by having fun with it.
Yeah.
In that they've developed a speedrun method for Horde that details them occupying the spawn areas of the enemies in a certain way that makes it so they are roped in, again, with some fortifications in a certain area, so you can complete all 50 Ways of Horde in about an hour and a half on the hardest difficulty, which is the new one they released, Inconceivable, even harder than Insane, and using Iron Man, which is if anybody fails, you fail the whole thing. So we did 1 through 50 on all the hardest stuff, without dying even. I got that achievement randomly. So it's been interesting and fun, and they're fun people, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know how long I'll stick with it, but I thought that was an interesting ad about that game.
Sure.
I did also finish Tomb Raider, and
Nice.
I don't know how much more I can say about it than we've already said. It's worth playing for sure. It's a brutal game. It doesn't hide its levels maybe as much as Uncharted, or even Between the Last of Us, same thing, which has these, we didn't mention, these beautiful layouts of, like, it'll set a goal in the distance, like it's a hotel at one point, I think, and then it's the Capitol building at another point. And then basically you're moving through all these, they call them encounters, but they're so well stitched together that you're moving through the city in a way that both makes the city still seem huge but cramped, and it's done so perfectly well. It's the Tomb Raider's none of that, but the game is super solid and fun, because there will be moments where it's like, okay, you're in the Silent Hill level.
I like that you're like, let me compare this to a game in every single way conceivably possible that this game that I'm trying does not do. Just so you understand what this game is not, let me tell you what it isn't.
See, Tomb Raider zigs where The Last of Us zags.
Yeah. The Last
flies in the face of transcendent game making. It doesn't. It's not. It's a good game. It's a game. It's more of a game.
Tomb Raider Prop Hunt Edition.
It's Tomb Raider.
Battle Royale.
It's got Tomb Raider roots. Yeah, what the heck. The other thing it does really well that you should go to that game for are the set pieces. Like, it has you platforming on stuff that's falling apart, that leads into a parachute, that leads into a sliding down a ditch, that leads into this, that leads into that. Those things are fun and land. In fact, I enjoyed them more this time, I would say, than the first time. So
nice. Okay.
Good fun game. Cleaning up the last of that, and then I'll probably move on to the second one at some point, but I'm guessing Spider-Man's gonna waylay that a little bit.
It might.
And then I have had this problem where recently, if I don't have a game in my hand at night, I will look at Twitter. So lose kind of.
Yeah, always. Don't do that.
And for the longest time, this was the mobile companion to Star Wars Battlefront. Remember that thing, like the card game?
Oh yeah,
that had I played hours upon hours of that game, because at night, I'm brushing my teeth, mouth washing.
Unquote played.
I'll just sit there with it and I love that game. But I wanted another game. It's been a while since I had a mobile thing like that I could just do. And this game had been making some waves called Holedown. Heard of it?
Nope. Downloading it now.
Do you remember Balls?
How could I forget?
This is kind of like Balls, except now it's got holes.
What?
Right? So what if you could add holes to your balls? Boom. Holedown.
Balls and holes. All right.
And it loses a little bit because the premise is essentially the movie Armageddon. You are drilling down on space planetoids.
You don't want to.
So,
don't want to close my
grain of
eyes.
salt. But the game itself is basically the perfect single-player distillation of that Ball, because a lot of clones came up after Balls. In fact, Balls itself felt like, while original was still a clone.
It was.
They're all kind of breakout clones in a way.
Yeah, which it in itself is a clone of Arkanoid.
Sure, there you go. So this is basically a perfect one of that. Like this is the pinnacle of evolution, it seems, of that in the single player sense. It is very simple, but the design is just wonderful and beautiful, and it looks great, and the music is perfectly fun. The sound effects are great, and they switch up the gameplay a little bit by making the corners rounded on all the pieces. So there's a lot kind of different. You deal with different angles than you would be used to in the other games, but I'm super enjoying it. It's perfectly filling the spot I wanted it to. Highly recommended.
Did you pay money for this game?
I did. It is, I think, $3.99, but it's a one-time.
It is $3.99. I refuse.
Did you change your mind?
I'm not paying $3.99 for balls with holes in them. Your holy balls. Oh.
Holedown. Good game. Fun.
All right.
We've got news items, believe it or not. One of them is just kind of, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this, and I'm going to keep moving.
Yeah, hit me up. I don't know anything.
Black Ops and Battlefield 5 have released not only information about their Battle Royale modes, their names not being one, but also their player counts, which is the thing I was looking for more than anything.
Sure.
Black Ops is topping out at 80 players, it says, so far.
Yeah.
Blackout is the name of their mode. And Battlefield is Firestorm is the name of their mode, and 64 players, which I believe is what they've been doing. 64 players on console even since Battlefield 4, right?
Yeah, it was just never 1v all.
Well, in Firestorm actually apparently it's in squads as well, so it's still not technically 1v1. So I'm just curious how, I mean, this is the thing everybody's waiting to hear about. The lack of 100 player count makes a difference to me. I'm curious what you think.
No, I mean, I don't, 80 players, that's fine. That's whatever. Okay. I admit it, man. I actually watched a little bit of the Blackout gameplay yesterday, and it looks fun. I admit it, man. It looks fun.
Can't tell which way you're going on this.
It does.
Okay, what's up?
It looks fun. I admit it. It looks like they figured out how to do Call of Duty in that realm. And honestly, that's what you want. You know, if you're going to do that, you want it to be as Call of Duty as possible, right? You know, you want it to feel that. Everything I can see from that game looks cool. It looks fun. I think it also has squads and duos and stuff. I admit it, man. I might want to check that out.
Okay, still on the might want to check that out train.
I am. Battlefield 5, that's going to be a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
Nothing about that looks entertaining or pleasant to me.
I mean, I bet it's a cool ad.
No. That game, I'm telling you straight up, for me, Battlefield 5 as a game in general, not just that mode, does not look good. It looks buggy as hell, way buggier than before. I don't like the changes that they've made to the guns and to the shooting and the way it just doesn't look good.
No, I think people should absolutely take into account the bugs too. Like that Firestorm is going to be buggy at lunch. It's going
to be buggy through lunch.
Has it been an hour already?
Yeah, I can't believe it. We've somehow ruined this entire show by talking a lot.
I've preferred Call of Duty gameplay to even Battlefield in the past anyway, so yeah, whatever.
I'm torn, man. I want to play it. I do. I want to.
Okay. All right.
The want to go and do the pre-order just to get the beta to cancel my pre-order is high. But then the game also comes out like in a week, so whatever.
Really? Okay. All right.
It comes out next month. I think it comes out in early October.
That's true. Other thing that was interesting, which you found actually, and I'm curious what the fanfare was on this thing because there's not much on the site. Remedy has announced, Remedy Games, you know, everybody loves Remedy Games here at Zero Hit Points. It's maybe our most favoritist game developer
possibly.
in so many ways.
I think that's true, actually. I think I agree.
They have announced a new development initiative called Vanguard, which they're calling, quote, an unconventional way with an aim to develop something quickly and independently inside an established organization. Basically, it sounds like a tiny little indie studio inside of Remedy.
That's what I'm getting out of it. I mean, what it sounds to me like is in the way they talk about it is they're talking about games and media more heavily here. And it sounds like to me that this is their attempt at taking so if you go back to Alan Wake starts with you get a little bit of that interactivity with TV. Like they did a little bit of live action stuff for it.
Go back to Max Payne, man.
Go back to Max Payne.
It was a comic book, dude.
Sure. So you have the comic book. Then you've got in Alan Wake you've got like the night what was it called?
Night Falls,
Night Tales, whatever it was. And then they go to Quantum Break where they've got the live action TV show that's directly involved. I feel like that's what they're going for is they're trying to get further into that media integration, product integration. Ryan is it's going to provide upward revenue streams.
The future,
for
gosh,
the future.
Dang it. Stop saying that. You've been saying that phrase to me just to tick me off for a good hour now.
Jack Donaghy knows a lot about business, and I'm going to.
Don't you talk bad about Synergy?
But that's what. Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of doing. Their own little studio that's going to be real focused on the stuff that Remedy is so good at making, but people don't seem to get, I shouldn't say people don't seem to get attached to it. It's, they seemed attached to Microsoft, which limited their audience to people at Microsoft, so.
Well, I think that's what makes Remedy one of these singular developers out there, is because they've maintained kind of a culture and an outlook and just a signature in their games that most AAA game studios don't. And I don't know if it is because of how they interact with their publishers or whatnot. The relationship between Microsoft and Remedy has seemed different in the past. I just think it's, both in a larger context, kind of where this game development is going. This isn't the first time we've seen small, studios like this within bigger studios. It's the first time we're seeing it with Remedy, which I think is special. But in fact, maybe I'll just read this. It says literally on the site that they have, what is Vanguard? It says, the small Vanguard development team will act with a startup mentality with the stability of a large company. Its mission is to challenge conventions and to prototype and ship new types of, and this is where maybe I don't get as interested, but again, it's Remedy, quote, ongoing live multiplayer game experiences alongside our established and growing core games development teams and the Northlight Technology Group. So it sounds like this might also be a little bit of their answer to
Alan
games
Wake
of service.
Battle Royale!
So yeah, it's an Alan Wake Games of Service Battle Royale. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned.
Yeah, starring Max Payne.
But it's Remedy, so we'll keep an eye on it.
We will keep the eyes on it because I like Remedy. I want to see what they do.
The only other thing this week, and I made it the capper, but I'm thinking this is going to be the quipper.
or maybe it's the thwipper.
Oh, that Spider-Man again. Too much with the
spider jokes.
You watched Homecoming too, didn't you?
I
Book
did.
Club for Movies coming up.
I did.
Is this thing about the Division 2? And real quickly, Ubisoft has made a big deal about everything's going to be free with the Division 2. Well, they released their plan, and it seems like it's not going to be as free as you might think. Basically, and they're not the first one to figure this out, that, in fact, Battlefront 2 might be the first one that really didn't figure this out. But they understand now that they have to say that content after the fact is free because people are tired of DLC models. They're tired of season passes. They're tired of what is essentially the way that game companies have been trying to recoup this ongoing server cost, what they call it, right? They go back. This is basically them saying, well, if we don't offer paid DLC, we got people buying our game used and, playing online for free. They need to pay us for something. Anyways, they figured out they have to say that it's free. Also, because it doesn't split the player base after the fact, they've decided it's beneficial to them as well and the community. But
weird.
They gonna sneak it in is, I think, the lesson here. And the Division 2 is doing their best to sneak it in with different versions of the game, all of which offering different things in kind of a maybe pay to win, but not quite, but as close as we can get, type thing.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not going to detail this all because there are 6 different versions, and there are like 25 different items that come with the best version, then you only get, 20 of the other, and then 15, and it just slowly progresses until you owe them more money to play the game than you actually would pay for just the regular game. Like right. you buy the game for $60, but then you got to pay another $120 just to even start the game. It's shenanigans, Ubisoft.
Tuesdays at 4.
Tuesdays at 4? Tuesdays.
That's all.
Hey, I want to mention this real quick.
It's not all.
It doesn't have to be. It can be all. But there was a sad moment this week with Spider-Man where somebody got Insomniac to add a Will You Marry Me to the game.
It wasn't in a developer?
No, it wasn't. It was a developer. They got Insomniac to do it. Insomniac put the marriage proposal in the game, and then find out that their relationship had been on the rocks for a little while, and there was no intention on staying together, and they broke up, and now here's the thing. This is why I want to bring this up. I want to bring this up because this guy comes out and says, here's what happened, which immediately launched like 1,000 burning suns towards this poor girl's like email address and Twitter account, calling her.
Don't even tell me that part.
The worst of the words you can imagine. Just a horrible human being. Look,
for not agreeing to marry somebody.
Yeah, and on top of that, before the game had even released, like they had decided, and they were like they had made. I don't know. All I'm saying is, don't talk to people on the internet about anything ever. Except for us. Podcast is here, hitpoints.com. We're back every Tuesday. We're here. Hey, check this out. Streaming schedule, my dudes. It's up on the Twitch page. Going to be every day except for Sundays and Mondays. And even Sundays might throw some gaming in there. But going to be online. Twitch.tv/0hitpoints. Check it out. The schedule's at the bottom. I will be there starting today at, well, probably before you're going to be listening to this, and I'm already there. So you listen to this while I'm there. 2:30.
There you go.
2:30 Mountain Standard Time.
And come back Thursday for Book Club for Movies. We are doing, correct me if I'm wrong, Smokey and the Bandit.
The Bandit is a smokin'.
Okay. In honor of the Smokey and the Bandit and the everything in between. Mr. Burt Reynolds passed away on the 6th. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a fun show, and we'll see you there.
Vroom! Look at me drive away.